Hello and welcome for watching the Terra Kitchen with Pixel's Mom. Today I will be doing our second recipe for New England states. This state represents the state of Maine. I will be making a seafood mac and cheese. For this you're going to need the following ingredients. 1 pound of rotini, 3 to 4 lobster tails equaling about 1 pound, shrimp, fontina cheese, cheddar cheese, butter, nutmeg, flour, vegetable stock, salt and pepper, oat milk. It does say to use regular whole milk, but I am substituting it for oat milk, and chives to put on the top for garnish. Our first step is to start our pot of water and to cook our rotini. This should take about 8 to 12 minutes for it to cook. You do want it a little bit al dente because it will be incorporated with the hot lobster and shrimp, and will continue further cooking once you add the cheese sauce as well. Okay, I have our macaroni all cooked and drained and with 1 cup of water set aside. And our next step is to take our 4 cups of vegetable broth and some water and to get our lobsters started to boil. Okay, now that everything is cooled down for the macaroni, I just boiled up our water for our lobster and I just put in our lobster. It says to cook them anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes or until they turn a bright red pink or pinkish color. Alright, as you can see, our lobster tails are bright red and have that pretty pink color. They have curled up and I am going to take them out and remove them and put them in a bowl to let them cool off. After I do that, I'm going to put our shrimp into the same water with the heat turned off to let them poach for a few moments covered on the stove. I did end up using a different shrimp than I had because I needed to use it before it went bad. So I'm using a smaller cooked salad shrimp, and I think that'll be fine inside of the actual macaroni and cheese. So we're going to let these just cook for a few more minutes and get warmed up, and then I'll be taking everything out and putting our macaroni and cheese together. Okay, as you can see, our shrimp has been removed from the pan. It is now nice and heated up and nice and warm. Our lobsters are cooling down, and I'm going to set them aside and get started on our roux. Our first step is going to be put the 2 cups of the oat milk, which I am substituting for the whole milk, into the pan and gently warm it. You do not want this to boil. You just want this to be warm. And this may take a few moments, and it should heat up nicely, and then we will go with our butter and flour mixture to continue with the roux. Now, as our milk is heating in the back, I am going to add our butter to the pan here, let it start to melt, and then we're going to incorporate the flour in that, and then we will be whisking it constantly so that it does not stick. I'll let that definitely melt first before I add the flour in. Okay, our butter has melted. It's time to add in our flour and to continually stir this till it becomes incorporated together. And then once this is done, we will be adding our milk and constantly stirring it until it becomes a nice golden color. Now that my milk is warmed up, I'm going to slowly stir this in here so it does not lump. So that we get a nice roux out of this. You want a constant stirring because you don't want it to stick and not form together nicely. Okay, our roux has started to thicken. It has started to come to a nice bubble. I had turned the heat down to about 3.5 to 4, and I'm going to gradually start entering some of our cheese. I'm going to start with the fontina cheese, continually whisking until it melts, and then add the remainder, and then start with the cheddar cheese. We're going to do this in batches because we don't want this cheese to clump up and not melt smoothly. Add a little bit of this more. It is a little bit time consuming. You just have to have a little bit of patience and let it melt on its own gradually. I'm going to add the rest of the fontina and then start adding the cheddar cheese. Once both of the cheeses have been added in and smoothly melted, we'll add the nutmeg and a little bit of the pasta water just to make sure that it's not going to be too thick to add with our noodles themselves. In the meantime, I have gone and cut up the lobster after I took it out of its tail and shells. The shrimp is all waiting with it, and it is all ready to be added to our noodles and sauce. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of our cheddar. Continue to let this all melt gradually. You can see it's starting to get into a nice cheesy thickness sauce. And a little bit more of this. Dropped a few of them on the ground. Oh well. A little bit of that left. And we'll add that to our mixture. And remember, we don't want this so thick that it's not going to be able to incorporate into the noodles. That's where the pasta water that we reserved comes in, because we're going to probably add a teaspoon or two of that to make sure that it is not too thick. One of the chives jumped into the mixture. Alright, so I'm going to keep incorporating this till I think it's ready, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, our cheese sauce is a little thick. I am going to add just a dash of our reserved pasta water to try to thin it out just a little bit. As I said, we don't want it so thick that we won't be able to incorporate it with our lobster and shrimp and our noodles. I think that's a pretty good consistency right there. And now it is time for me to add our shrimp and lobster into our sauce. As I stated, I did end up using a different shrimp because I had them already pulled out for something else and I needed to use them before they go bad. I'm going to incorporate all that with our cheese sauce. I'm going to let it meld together for a few minutes, and then I'm going to be adding it to our pasta and stirring it all together. Now that I have added the shrimp and the lobster, I need to add our nutmeg in and stir that in as well. This would be the time that I would put some salt and pepper in and see how that tastes. As you can see, I have a nice, not overly thick cheese sauce, but a very nice cheese sauce. I think this is going to really incorporate well with those the rotinis that I cooked earlier. Alright, as you can see, I did our salt and pepper, I added our nutmeg, it has all been stirred together and incorporated, and it is at a nice warm temperature. I am going to take the moment and incorporate this into our rotini, and we'll see how it all comes together. Okay, as you can see, the rotini has been added. Unfortunately, I needed both hands to actually pour that in there. So now I'm going to be stirring this and combining it all together. letting it meld all together, get all the cheesy goodness and the shrimp and the pasta all combined. It looks really good. Looks very cheesy too. I think this is going to be a very yummy dinner. I think I would have preferred to have used fresh shrimp. Unfortunately, I just really could not find them where I live in Lake City. And sometimes we have to just substitute with ingredients that we do have. I do believe this would have been a little bit better looking if it had actual larger shrimp in it as well. But I think it'll be good though. Alright, I'm going to spoon some of this up into my bowl, and we'll give it a taste and see how it tastes. You can definitely see the cheese in it. Ooh, it's very stringy. It's good consistency, good quality cheese, I think. I love fontina cheese. And we'll see how this is. And we'll be right back. Sorry about that. I sadly forgot to grab a spoon when I went to get everything ready. I took the moment to garnish my macaroni and cheese and lobster and shrimp with some chives that are from my garden. And now I'm going to give it a taste and see how it comes out. Get a little bit of everything. And give it a try. Very nice, very smooth flavor from the cheese. The lobster is amazing in it. I adore lobster and shrimp as it is. Yep. I'll just take another bite and make sure I have tasted that right. And yes, I am. It's very good. I really think it's a good dinner. Okay. I want to thank you guys so much for watching me and my channel. I hope you like and subscribe if you like. Share this with your family, please. Share it with your friends. Give it a try. There's so many things you can do to make any recipe your own. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Take care.